Hey everyone, what is new in AI for arts and culture? This time, an interesting update on the copyright issue, the contentious issue around AI, and how basically all of these frontier models for AI like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Grok, they all basically scraped and indexed the entirety of the World Wide Web in order to train their models, right? And like they're making billions and trillions of dollars on this on the backs of all of the creatives in the world who have put their hard work out in the world in the public domain in some way, shape, or form, or behind login. One of the most well-known and ongoing contentious sort of fronts of this is the New York Times suing OpenAI for basically taking a bunch of their content, all of their content, and using it to train their models. And OpenAI pushing back saying, yeah, that we disagree, and we actually think it's a user privacy issue if we adhere to what you're saying. So it's still an ongoing thing. But the point is that arts and culture organizations and all of the artists and creatives that fuel this incredible part of our universe, which is so important for all of humanity, as we all know in arts and culture. For you all, this is a really, really important topic. So there's an update coming out of Silicon Valley right now that I think is really interesting and worth paying attention to. So there's a company called Cloudflare that handles about, I don't know, 20% of the world's internet traffic. You might have seen that name go by in news headlines in other capacities. But Cloudflare is just rolling out a new product development I find really interesting for all of the content creators in the world. Cloudflare is releasing right now in beta with a whole host of publishers, major publishers, a pretty long list of publishers in their beta, this new dashboard, which basically allows the website owner. So if you rewind to the early architecture of the internet, if you are all at all on the technical side of things, you will know about the robots.txt file. For those of you who aren't technical, don't worry about it. It's basically a little bit of code that you drop into your website that tells search engines and indexers and bots that crawl the web to look for content, whether or not they should index this content or not. And that lives at your website level, right? And so that's been there from the beginning of the internet. That's been something that Google has worked on and iterated on in various ways. The entire web community has iterated on this whole notion of this robots.txt file. Well, essentially think of it like a no trespassing sign or get off my lawn sign that you basically put in front of your website. The AI companies just stepped right over that sign and took all the content that they wanted, leaning very heavily on this whole rationale that they are not using verbatim content, right? They're going to use it to train their model, to have a stylistic reference, which of course is a big deal for artists because style is so much of the art. Same with stylistic references in music. And I mean, any kind of composition, stylistic references are a huge deal. So, okay, so this Cloudflare update comes out, which essentially puts finally some teeth behind this no trespassing sign and allows website owners. So for an arts organization, your website, if you're using Cloudflare, even if you're not using Cloudflare, stay with me because it's an interesting inference. But if you're using Cloudflare, rolling out supposedly soon after beta, a dashboard that allows you to go in and control which indexers have access to your content and which ones don't. So you can come through and see a list of all the bots that have stepped over that no trespassing sign and been taking your content, and you can turn it off. You can disable access to Claude, for instance. You could disable access to ChatGPT individually. You could enable it for GPT, but close it down for Claude and Perplexity or whoever else is coming by. So that's a really interesting notion. And even more importantly, for the artists and content creators of the world, is that Cloudflare is considering doing a marketplace, which is, and I think this is part of their plan based on the press releases that I've been reading, that a marketplace that can connect the content creator with the people, the scrapers and the AI companies out there to actually have a real dialogue around financial compensation. Really interesting, right? So I think it's really important because AI companies, all of these AI models have gaps in their nuance, in their knowledge, in their cultural specificity. And if you're creating content that fills one of those gaps for these AI platforms, you should be compensated. Your organization should be compensated. This is fuel for them. It's real money for them. That needs to come back to the creator of the content. So this is really interesting. Again, if you're using Cloudflare, great. Or if you don't know, maybe contact your IT department, have a chat with them. It might be something that shows up in your Cloudflare instance in the near future. Do a little reading about it. I also have a blog post about this if you want to click on that. But even if you're not using Cloudflare, it's your organization, or if you're an independent, artist or content creator, don't worry about it, because I think where one industry leader goes, this is going to be something that the whole industry does. So I think it's really interesting. That's the latest on AI for arts and culture.